always been good to like experience all
I can't find the right size
lightning
to fit the so I might have to get something dropped.
Wow, looks like you guys are taking orders out the run of your road.
Testing, testing, testing. All right, let's gather up and call this meeting to order in short order if we can. Teresa said she brought them down.
Yeah, make sure everybody finds the iPad to sign in tonight.
Okay, how's volume in the back for my Sevites? Sounding good? Thank you. We also have the freshly tuned Rivian speaker box over there, but its microphone is much less sensitive. You have to swallow the thing. So we'll use the big mic. We do need everyone to sign in on the Rivian iPad. That's how we justify our use of the space, is by getting their head count up for
It's actually my iPad, so it's not a souvenir.
Treat it well. Treat it well. But there's a fair bit going tonight. Thank you to Teresa for herding all the cats down from the roof of the garage. That garage roof would be great for a solar EV charging array. If you have not looked at the plans for the Marysville Library project, Mount Vernon Library project, that is going to be impressive. 72 EVSE and 4 DC fast chargers on a library/community center that is beginning construction. Okay. Well, as we always do, we'll have a portion for people to tell us about their projects a little bit later in the meeting, but do we have any first-timers or first-in-a-long-timers here tonight? Hello. If you wouldn't mind, what's your name and goals?
Sure, I'll go. Brian Baumender, nice to meet you all. I have a Rivian, and I'm an advocate of EV policy in the state, and I just heard about this, and I thought I'd sign up and attend.
Well, thank you. We need more advocates with the legislature. They have grown deaf to our cause in some ways. You, sir.
Okay, Jim Shaw. I got the first Cybertruck in Seattle.
Oh. It's up on the roof? Oh. Well, that will be a reason to let our hosts have their room back promptly at 8:30 if you can hang around for a couple minutes. Cybertruck is here. Wonderful. Our first agenda item will be an update from Grace with exciting news from our allied nonprofit Cultura and their Beyond Gasoline campaign. Are you on their board now? Yes, I knew you wouldn't sit still for long.
Actually, yeah, I've been on the board for a couple of years now. You know, doing the double duty thing and all. So for those of you who are not familiar with Cultura, well, we did have Matthew here last month. I just didn't want to stand in front of you guys. Matthew Metz is one of the co-founders and directors of Cultura, and the other one is Janelle London, and she lives down in the Bay Area. And together, they have kind of been putting together this organization to advocate transferring to electric driving and stopping the use of fossil fuels. So that is really kind of our same mission, only they're doing it nationwide. I know starting here on the West Coast, yes, because we already have a lot going for us. But they've been doing a whole lot. They've actually got lots of funds coming in, which is exciting. They've been hiring data analysts, they've been gathering data, they've been analyzing the super users of gasoline, which is defined as those people who are using the top 10%, the top 10% of gasoline users in the country. It's defined as super users. Okay, those are the people who should be transitioning to electric driving first in order to displace as much gasoline as possible in order to reach our climate change goals, to help the environment, to help people's budgets. I mean, it's a big deal. And so all this huge amount of data analysis is incredible, but it doesn't really resonate very well with the average buying public who's deciding where to get a car. And so what they're doing is they've just kind of come up with this concept and wondering if we could help. So I got a call saying, you know, how would it work if we were to get owners of electric vehicles who are willing to spend some of their volunteer time talking to some of these super users who are saying, yeah, I'd really like to stop buying that much gasoline. I just don't know if an EV is going to work for me. But, you know, most people say, you know, they're not going to go to a dealership and talk to people. They're just going to hear what they want to tell them instead of what it's really like in real life. And so they're trying to figure out how we can maybe partner with different organizations or people around the country that might have volunteers willing to get on the phone with somebody who is, you know, buying $500, $600 worth of gasoline a month and say, hey, here's how you can go to an EV, here's how much it's going to cost you, here's how you're going to charge it, this has been my experience, and yeah, it works great, and so here's how it can work for you. And so that's kind of what SEVA does already. That's definitely what we've been doing at our outreach events that we've been doing for the last 15 years at least, right? It's been a long time now. And so I thought, well, there's a lot of resources that maybe we can get Kultura hooked into, so they're not having to reinvent the wheel, but being able to go to organizations like ours or the National Electric Vehicle Association, also Plug-in America, so I referred them to those folks, but also people like the Tesla owners groups, because those folks, they certainly are going and doing the charger chats and saying, hey, for you new folks, or you want to be Tesla owners, come and let us talk to you and tell you all about what our experiences are. So they might be really good resources to be able to hook into those super users and try to get them converted as much as possible. So I'm hoping that that might be something that SEVA would think about being able to take on and creating a directory of our volunteers here who might like to participate in something like that, and be able to answer some emails with some specific questions about how things work. Maybe get on the phone and do a phone call with somebody. I'm just thinking that that might really fit along with our mission to create kind of like a speakers bureau, a directory of people who'd be willing to do that. Would anybody here want to field some calls like that? I would. I sure would. Oh, yeah, a couple. Okay.
So, Chris, how many people
Yes.
here actually drive 30,000 miles a year? I mean, the connection. I mean, you do, right?
Did.
You push it, okay? Because those are the only people that really could answer that question, right?
Somewhat, not entirely, because some of us have done some long trips in our EVs, correct? I've done a number of them, and I can tell you exactly what it's like to drive 600 miles, and you're going to stop and charge a couple of times along the way, and how inconvenient is that going to be, and how are you going to find those charging stations? Well, the general public doesn't know this stuff. They don't know things about like PlugShare and all the apps that are out there and how you can make it a seamless experience. And so that's what we can be here to do, is explain to them how those things work. And yeah, it's a different way of thinking about it, but download a couple apps to your phone, it makes it pretty easy. So we have that kind of expertise in this group, and that's what I'm thinking that we can share.
Thanks, Grace. Can I share the
Sound
mic
good?
with you?
Yeah.
I was going to bring up a very similar thing right now, because if you haven't taken a look at oeva.org in a while, please do so. Oregon Club has really stepped up their game, and on their website they have two separate headings. One is Ask. You got a simple question, send it in, we'll get right back to you. The other is Mentor. If you'd like to be paired up with an experienced driver to do a deep dive, we've got the person for you. So that goes farther than, say, Plug-in America's PlugStar, or is it Sierra Club's PlugStar shopping service. And at least for some of us, I thought that would really be an enjoyable activity, is personally coaching newbies. Yes, yes, yes. Ryan says yes. All right. Oy vey. Any other ideas or discussion on that? Because Kultura is, I could even venture a guess that such hours spent counseling could possibly have a stipend attached to them. SIVA has a budget we've yet to spend in years, and Kultura is bringing in the grant money, and they need to spend it on something. Okay. Okay, that brought a comeback.
One more thing, yes. And yes, there is some grant funding, but the other thing is that they're starting to market the data that they've been collecting all over the country. And so being able to sell like to government agencies and marketers the data about where these super users are, how much they drive, how much gas they're using, that is, they're expecting that to be a very valuable resource. And so hopefully there will be some money involved, yes. Don't know about that yet. No money's been mentioned, but just being able to figure out how to hook into the current resource of volunteers who might be willing to help with this would be great. So I'm hoping that SIVA might be able to do something more like the Oregon group is too.
All right, thank you very much. We can go ahead and, are there any other policy questions or concerns to bring up at this point? Let's roll on into the events, because we've got the Mercer Island Leap for Green coming up on Earth Day, and I do not have 5 cars signed up with eager owners ready to stand next to them. You should be there. All right. Well, through the SIVA list, or please talk with me at the open session afterwards, and we'll get officially on the list. SIVA's got a placeholder in for up to 5 vehicles because it's a small lot. And now I'll leave that for later. Raleigh, would our new events chair care to give us some updating?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I'm the events chair, and there you go. I have a title. I haven't gotten too far on it yet. I'm trying to find a good sign-up thing, because last year's we were using Sign Up Genius, which is not so genius. So we're going to try Doodle, I think. I was checking into that. At any rate, we have the first show again is April 20th, and the calendar is updated. If you go to the SIVA website, there's a calendar of all the different events that are going on, and it's well populated for June. There's a couple others. I added Sustainamania will be added later. But at any rate, what my vision for this is that we have good participation, and I would like to work on some posters that give some information so that when people come in. I personally have done 4 car shows, and I did the Greenwood car show twice, and it is quite a bit of fun. I stand in front of the vehicle and I yak a lot, and then, so it's not really all that hard. But you know, we're all enthusiasts, but maybe not all of us are as outgoing as I am. But it's still relatively painless. If at the very least you can sit next to your car and not talk to anybody. But it is a lot of fun to talk to people. You get a lot of questions. Last year it was a lot nicer than the year before. The year before there were a lot more skeptics. And last year there were a lot more people that are truly interested in finding out something about electric cars. So if you go to these shows, you're going to get a couple of people that are going to try and tell you electric cars are junk, but you're going to get a lot of people who are like thinking about it, because you know the tide is turning. So I encourage you all to sign up for these shows, and I'll be sending some emails out about what, you know, sign up emails and what are the expectations. and we're going to have more printed material that you can read so that you can answer questions more effectively. Because we all know a lot about these things, but it would be good if we had some cheat sheets to show around too. So that's what's going on.
If you like, you can scan this QR code and say that you're volunteering to show at a car show, and I'll see that Raleigh gets your information.
Yep. And it would be helpful if I had additional help. So, yeah, he's part of my crew, so we're doing good. We got one so far.
And for the benefit of all, who would he be?
Mark.
You go by Mike.
Oh, my name is Mark Schnell. I'm sorry.
Mark.
Mark Schnell? Mark Schnell? Okay. That's my name.
Do you drive a Mach-E?
No, I don't. I drive a Super Schnell.
Yep. So he's got a Tesla Roadster, a Model S, a Leaf, one of the first Leafs, and you're going to acquire another one. One of those two. So he's got a collection.
It's the quiet ones.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I wanted to join this. I wanted to join this operation 3-4 years ago, but I was just too busy in my life.
Yeah.
So now I'm settled down. I'm retired.
All right.
There you go. Any further questions?
Yes, I have one of burning import. I think Rob just answered it. You're Raleigh, not Rolly?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. Everyone gets that wrong.
Yeah.
Wait.
Grace has a question for Raleigh.
Are we doing Greenwood this year? And if so, what's the date?
Greenwood is
28, 29?
29.
29th. Okay.
Yep. So that's the big one. So I'm hoping that we, get tuned up a little bit on some of these other smaller ones. So when we go to Greenwood, we're really styling.
And for the second year in a row, Greenwood conflicts with the Formula E races down in Portland. I've started prodding them about that a little bit, and I'm hoping that Formula E will at least enlist OEVA and maybe some famous retired drag racer to do an exhibition on the track. They really missed the opportunity for local connections, and now they've committed to Portland for a longer term venue than just one and done, as was feared last year. So that's really cool. But I'll be at Greenwood, not at Formula E. One more event from Grace.
Get your steps into this.
I know, exactly. And I'm really glad we're doing the Leap for Green Fair again. I hope some more of you will sign up to be there. I'm not going to be there because I'm doing another event that same day, which is April 20th. And some of you might know that we've been trying to get into the Issaquah Salmon Days Festival for a long time, particularly to talk about how electric vehicles help protect water quality and help salmon. That's why I got into electric vehicles. They weren't able to accommodate us unless we paid a large booth fee and had only 2 cars. And that was the last we got from them. And so that never worked out. However, we are going to be exhibiting for the Earth Day event at the Issaquah Hatchery. They have room for 3 cars, and they're not charging any fee, which is great. So I'm going to have my car there. My husband's planning to have his car there. There's room for a 3rd car if anybody wants to come and join us, 12 to 4 on April 20th. And there'll be bunches of kids' activities. There'll be fish to look at, fish to feed. I mean, it's going to be a good opportunity to really reach out and talk about how electric vehicles help protect water quality and as well as air quality. Most people only think about the climate change and the air pollution issue, but the water quality is a huge one too. So we're going to be doing that little outreach. If anybody else, one more person would like to join us and bring a car, that would be awesome. We don't want to just look at Teslas.
Is that on the 20th?
20th, yes, April 20th. Yeah. Cool, thanks.
Will there be any salmon to eat at this event?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Salmon are only this big.
Well,
Not really.
show of hands, who saw all the terrible press saying that electric vehicles pollute 200 times more than gas cars because of tire wear? Just like the Hummer's Greener Than a Prius study, it contained a number of questionable assumptions and stretches of the truth, but it has done its damage, and particularly with respect to salmon in this area, that's something we're going to have to deal with. Okay, who wants to hear an update about racing, and who wants to hear an update about our member wants and needs survey? Yes. Please. Okay, Stephen, are you going to want to project anything?
Yeah, do you have something I can plug a USB in? Otherwise I can go grab my laptop.
HDMI only.
I will go about your laptop.
Okay, we'll try to figure that out while Rob gives an update on our exhaustive member survey.
You got USB? You got a USB media?
I just have a phone drive.
What drive to plug your laptop?
Yeah, you got a laptop?
Okay, well, we'll try that after the survey.
Yeah, okay. You have something event related you want to do also, Jay, isn't that right? All right, so let me do this and we will multitask. Okay, so this, what I'm pulling up here is a couple of little nuggets from the first tranche of data that we have in the first phase of the survey. So the results I'm going to show you are plucked from the first 60 responses, which were only sent to essentially our close-in community. The next phase went out to a wider community, including our Facebook group, which has over 1,000 people. And Teresa, we talked about sharing it with the wider Tesla community. So that will really balloon the data up. So the nuggets I'm going to show you right now were the ones that I could quickly pluck out and made visual sense with a pie chart. The other ones are going to require a little bit more massaging in order to provide any meaningful information. So this first one, I plucked out all the conversions and just went for the more recognizable models, just to give you a sense of the distribution of ownership of our members. And let's see what else we got here. Charging costs.
$100. Where's that supercomputer? Or an apartment dweller paying retail.
Is that per month? Is that per month?
Yes. Okay. Types of charging used.
A lot more level 1 within the club than I might have imagined. But the question could be construed as, do you ever? Wasn't it?
Difference in all the level 1 plugins. There's like 5 or 6 of them.
I think it's people who answered more than one thing. So some people answered level 1, level 2, and level 3.
Yeah. I've got to scrub that data. That's a good point. What else do we have here? Oh, let me get this out of the way. Okay. So, here's that question.
No charging. 6%.
Yeah, this one definitely needs to be scrubbed because I have none twice and no charging problems. What's the difference? And plus we have no and no problems.
The no's have it.
Things might be better than we think.
This is the rawest of raw data. Don't consume this data. You might get E. coli. And next, last question. if you use public charging at work, how often do you use them?
It'd be interesting to correlate that to what vehicle they have. It's like I have one of the few, we have we have three small battery drivers at Tacoma Power who need to plug in every single day. And then we have a plethora of Teslas who generally either charge on Monday or Friday, and only once per week.
Okay. So these are all of the nuggets that I have to share with you today. I'll be doing a more exhaustive presentation with the data where I can do some interesting cross blending of the data to give us some different views. And Jay, I think I will probably tap you to help me plan what that should look like. And that's that. Okay. And while I have the mic, the iPad is floating around. So please be sure to either check off your name if you were here previously or add it to the bottom of the row. And I thank you for being patient and plucking that out, because I spent an entire baseball game transcribing last month's sheet, and I didn't want to do that again.
All right. Would you mind helping Stephen get his photos up while I pontificate for a moment? So I've got an issue that is policy and event and CEVA public service saving the world sort of stuff. I'd hoped to make a big announcement about a lithium battery recycling event this evening, but negotiations with Redwood Materials bogged down a bit and are ongoing. The issue is that Redwood and none other than Rotary International teamed up to do a high-profile lithium battery recycling event on Earth Day. They'll have 11 locations around the Sound collecting lithium batteries. And I think I caught them a little off guard when I diplomatically but basically said, "Will you have a forklift?" They're hoping to collect a few boxes of old cell phones and flashlights and UPS them to Arizona. And I tried to explain to them that we have a much larger issue of orphan lithium batteries from not only the EV hobbyists, but the do-it-yourself Powerwall community, the sailboaters, the RVers, the off-gridders, etc., etc. And they said, "That's fine. Just send us a picture of what you've got and we'll tell you whether or not they meet the very, very vague definition of DDR batteries, damaged, recalled, or suitable for destruction." And we got into long discussions, continuing even through today, about the definition of DDR, because the federal regs in their wisdom simply say swollen. Well, every used leaf pack I've ever opened is more swollen than it was when it was born. But does that trigger DDR? Because believe it or not, the manual for handling a DDR lithium cell shows a single cell phone battery inside a 55-gallon overpacked drum full of foamed glass as the preferred shipping method, and the law states that only one DDR cell or battery may be contained per overpack. So I asked her how many. They do not have a transload location, and they do not want us to descend upon the Rotarians with truckloads of dead cells on Earth Day. But negotiations are underway, and I hadn't fully informed the board because it was very, very much in flux. And I'm trying to deal with turning 50 and starting to get grumpier. And I think one of the biggest signs of that is when everybody you deal with is an idiot. But the logistics head for Redwood Materials sent me packaging guidelines, which include, I shit you not, these cells must be packaged in a non-conductive, shock-absorbing material such as fiberglass or steel wool.
You gotta be kidding!
And when I said, as a Boy Scout leader, I enjoy demonstrating fire starting with steel wool and batteries, but I suggest you may have made a typo. Their response was, we got your lengthy reply, and then didn't say anything about the steel wool. And refused and said, oh, we don't believe that's in there. I said, well, I called it out in my message. Please read what I wrote to you. And that's when it got a little bit testy today. But we're still talking, and they still want to recycle our batteries. And also, I'm usually more inclined to ask forgiveness than permission. But since I was on the state EV battery stewardship group, and a senator is set to release a bill in the coming session, a draft of which I just received today, I started discussion with a colleague that I remotely knew at King County Hazardous Waste. Because if you try to take your one dead lithium iron phosphate cell to the King County Hazardous Waste facility, they are very likely to turn you away. Same thing with Pierce County. When, depending upon how you read their rules, they should accept 50 pounds per day from you.
Yeah.
But when I called them, they said, oh, we don't know how to recycle those yet. So education is needed on both sides, and we're working to try and find a practical solution. Stephen, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, man. Well, I'll also mention on the batteries thing, I have had mixed luck. It used to be better, and maybe I'm part of the reason why the King County doesn't accept that anymore. But if you read the rules, it is household lithium batteries, and yeah, there's like a 50-pound limit and stuff, so I bring in the limit, and they're like, well, this looks like business, but I'm like, no, this is my Fiero that I made in college and various little battery stuff. So anyway, though, sometimes they've taken it. More recently, they're like, no. But
time to get Jesse.
Yeah. So, what have I been up to? Is lots of work with Ford and MLE race cars, and a bunch of SEVA members, or a number of SEVA members, have helped to build the Super Cobra Jet 1800, which is an electric Mustang, and we actually built it here in Seattle, and for Ford Performance, which is the racing division of Ford Motors. And this is an actual Mustang, so not like the Mach-E that has a Mustang name, but is an SUV. This is an actual Mustang car that is purpose-built for drag racing, and it's the progeny of the Cobra Jet 1400 that we had run a few years ago, that went in the low 8 seconds, and we have been working on the Super Cobra Jet 1800, and it's been more challenging. We cut a whole bunch of weight out of it, brand new battery pack, the most powerful battery pack we could put together, took out the passenger seat, put a battery pack in there, talked to the controller manufacturer, Cascadia Motion, and you're like, how absolutely close to the top limits can we go on this battery and put more cells in series and stuff, and really push the limits to get as much power as possible. And so it's called the Super Cobra Jet 1800 because the goal is 1800 horsepower, and the goal is to get it as far into the 7s as possible in the quarter mile. And so we've been doing lots of testing with it over the last, I guess, it's been over a year now. And Charlie's helped out with it. Scott early on the Cobra Jet 1400, and Ron and myself, and so some local, and yeah, like I said, we built it here locally, built the battery pack from scratch for Ford locally. And anyway, Pomona had the, well, so there's another interesting thing too. Electric vehicles, as you all know, the power density of an electric motor is far superior to any internal combustion engine, but the power density of the fuel is unfortunately the exact opposite. And so electric cars, even to make a race car that is just going in the quarter mile, to get that much power, the batteries still weigh so much that we were running into issues with the roll cage design, and now we're making this electric car so quick that there does not exist an SFI specification for the roll cage for a car that would weigh as much as this does, that can go as fast as it can go. And so the cutoff, the quickest, and we already ran into this with the 1400 and wound up using a diesel truck roll cage spec because it could accept the weight. And when you looked at the specifics in the rules or in that spec, it talked about a vehicle, so it wasn't specifically had to be a truck. So the NHRA let us use that, and that allows the car to do 8 seconds flat in the quarter mile. And so if it goes faster than that, if it does a 7.99 or quicker, then it would be banned from ever racing again. And it's unfortunate they can be so strict, but that's the way it works. And the NHRA as a sanctioning body is genuinely concerned about safety, and you know, they have issues like on the gas side of it with Top Fuel. Bob Tasca just set a record going 341 miles per hour in the quarter mile, and it's not even the quarter mile because a few years ago Top Fuel cars started going so fast that they cut back the quarter mile, so it's, I forget how many feet now, but it's actually a little less than a quarter mile that they run now because they've gotten so fast that actually I believe it was at Pacific Raceways, somebody went too fast and went through the whole sand trap and died, actually. So anyway, the NHRA is concerned about safety, and there does not exist a roll cage spec that would let us go faster. So we knew that, well, once we hit 7.99 or quicker, that will be the last run, and so this car may only get one time in the public for it to be seen, and we knew that it could go deep into the sevens. So then we decided, well, like, I mean, when do we want to do this? And the weather, surprisingly, in Pomona, California. So we went down there for the Winter Nationals, which is a huge national event people come from all over for. And the weather was looking like it was going to rain on the weekend. And so we had Thursday to practice, and then Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. And we had been planning to set the record on the second run on Sunday, but then the weather was looking really bad. And so we thought, well, we might not even get a chance. And so on Friday, for our second run, we decided to, or actually our first run of the day. On Thursday, we ran an 8.4, and then on Friday, we decided, all right, we're going to go all out. So we towed the vehicle up to the line and charged it up as full as it could be, warmed the batteries, and we ran a 7.75 and 180 miles an hour. So I'll show you the little Ford marketing video that they put out about it, and then I'll show you some pictures and tell you some more about the car. I guess the sound isn't playing through there. It isn't playing through my laptop anymore either. It seems like HDMI has taken over.
Oh, it's muted.
Oh, there's a mute thing.
Muted now? I can't see.
Okay, mine is at 100% on the laptop.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. So it does huge wheel stands, and so the 60-foot time is 1.3 seconds. However, that is not the actual 60-foot time because the front wheels, which start the timer, are still in the air past 60 feet. So that's the rear wheels are crossing at 1.3 seconds the 60-foot line. So there's Pat. Pat is driving it for this instead of the celebrity driver, so that was pretty cool. Our local Pat McHugh is the one who set the record. We can watch it again here.
So under the old maxim of first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win, where are you on this spectrum right now?
We're pretty happy. Everybody was really excited. But if it's gonna ever be shown again, it won't be able to be done at an NHRA track. They were very, very strict about it, and there was a miscommunication with people in the tower who said we could run again, so we actually were getting all set up to do another run. And then we were literally driving out to the start line, and some higher up was like, oh no, they already went too fast, they can't run again. So the NHRA is very strict about it, so we will not be able to run at another track of theirs. But there is the IHRA, and there's also a National Mustang Racing Association, so there are some other drag racing sanctioning bodies, and we may be able to run it at another one of those tracks. But yeah, there you can see, we were all super excited and happy, and everybody was coming up in the pits. These events, I mean, these are not your typical EV people at the drag racing community. And I mean, we have people coming up to us, you know, I hate electric vehicles, but that's really cool and stuff. Like, there's a lot of that. And so it's really neat talking with them. And boy, after we ran the 775, I mean, people were just coming up to us the whole rest of the day and the weekend looking at the car and stuff.
When will they get in? When will they get into other set?
Yeah, we'll have to see if they would make another spec that would allow for a higher weight. So you can see it's got thicker tires than it used to have before too. The brakes are carbon fiber, even the rotors. So it's got four-wheel disc brakes. All of them are made of carbon fiber. I mean, we did everything with Ford's budget to make this as light as possible. It was pretty cool. It weighs about 4,500 pounds. Yeah.
What was that goop getting painted on the tire?
So that we paint on the little wheelie bar wheels, and then you can see when it launches, it leaves little paint lines, and you can see if it's pushing harder to one side or the other. So that helps. See, yeah, you can see the little two orange stripes there on the track.
Is this on the web?
It should be on the web and Instagram on Ford Performance's website. They put it out.
Is it a factory Mustang body and chassis, or is it a funny car style body?
No, it started life as, well, I don't think if it ever actually had a gas engine in it, but it started life on the same assembly line as a normal gas Mustang chassis.
So it's a steel body Mustang.
Yes, however, so there's a Mustang model called the Cobra Jet that is a gas racing car. Essentially, it's a Mustang, but it costs over $100,000, and they are very quick as well. And it comes with a supercharged, super performance gas engine, and the roof is carbon fiber, and I think the hood is carbon fiber. So it has been made lighter weight, and it doesn't have necessarily rear view mirrors, or they leave no air conditioning and stuff like that. So it started as a gas Cobra Jet chassis, so it had some of the lighter parts, but also when we put the car on a diet, because originally it weighed over 5,000 pounds, and so when we put it on a diet, we got as many other carbon fiber parts as we could, cut out parts of the headlights. Like there's like 12 pounds in parts of the headlights that we were able to remove. And yeah, I mean, we removed anything that we possibly could. And the doors, I could lift a door with one hand. It has Lexan windows now, and it's an all carbon fiber door. But they're made for, Ford has a GT3 racing program that uses Mustangs, and these carbon fiber doors came from that. Although we also had the original doors, and the wiring is still there, because at some of the shows earlier, like at SEMA and stuff, when we had the car there, we had the actual original doors on, so the windows could go up and down and stuff. So all the wiring is still there for that. But yeah, let me show you some other pictures. And also the Los Angeles Police Department has some electric vehicles, which is interesting, and I've seen them at some events, at racing events in the past, because somehow they have a little racing division. And so they have a Model S. Let's see, oh, and here's a video of they brought their Model S, and then another local who had a Cybertruck with a wrap on it brought it and raced it against the police department's Model S. And the Model S was only a 70D, and the Cybertruck guy wasn't very good, and he didn't. He really got a poor launch and only wound up running like a 13 something. So I was all excited to see what the Cybertruck was going to do. But it was cool anyway to see a silent drag race. And that's always interesting, and for the fans to see that as well. But yeah, let's see then some other pictures here. So
it may be cool to see a silent drag race, but you lose perspective when there's not a screaming engine in the other lane. So one of the hey, why don't yous I threw at Formula E was to have like something like a hot Dodge Challenger as a pace car and watch the Formula E cars just scream past it like it's standing still on the second lap.
So here you can see the car back in the pits. We have these jacks that fit underneath it that can lift the whole car up in the air so that we can check stuff underneath and change things. It has 4 electric motors, but it's rear-wheel drive, and so they're all connected and actually running through a 5-speed transmission, and that's something else we changed. We added more gears in this transmission. It's a manual transmission, interestingly, so there's a clutch, and you would think, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, in an electric vehicle, why wouldn't you lose time by shifting gears? And that's what I thought, and some of the Ford engineers initially thought as well. But actually, this is where, way back in the early days, Ron Easley, one of our members, who's a mechanical engineer, had done a bunch of modeling on spreadsheets and stuff, and it looked like it would be faster despite the time of having to change the gears because of the mechanical advantage that you would get, that if it had more speeds. And I was surprised to see that it did that, and then it has borne that out here as well. So anyway, it's kind of unique as an electric vehicle in that regard, that it has a transmission.
Is that pedal shifting then, like mechanically?
Yeah, they're air, it's pneumatic actually. Yeah, so the shifting is done pneumatically with air, little solenoids. And then the clutch, it's actually like a multi-disc clutch. I mean, it's a severe racing clutch because 1,800 horsepower and the immediate torque that it makes is so extreme. But so here you can see, oh yeah, you can see the inside of the carbon fiber door. It does still have the stock Mustang handles, so the driver can open it and stuff, and the latching and everything works. And then we have 4 battery packs, so you can see the aftmost one in the trunk. There's another one in front of it that's right behind the driver's seat. Then there's another one, like I said, where the passenger seat used to be. And then there's another one up in front of all the motors, but just behind the radiator. It also does have a radiator, and interestingly, it is not to cool the motors, but to cool the inverters. So the inverters get hot enough, switching, the car is 800 volts DC, and it has 4 Reinhardt PM250s that are hopped up to the max that they would let us. And so the big IGBTs in those variable frequency drives get hot enough in the few seconds when they're being demanded to basically allow, it's over 2,000 amps total at 800 volts when it is, when it's going, it's over a megawatt of power, and it's pretty insane. And yeah, like I say, it does easy wheel stands. We put wider tires on it, and the whole rear end got completely rebuilt by PMR Racing down in California to allow for these bigger tires also, because that's the other thing, with the more power, it's hard to put that to the track and get it going. So these thicker, wider slicks allowed for that. Here is a picture looking down under the hood. So the motors and controllers are made in Oregon by Cascadia Motion, which used to be Reinhardt Motion Systems. And so there's one motor here and one motor there, and they're in a double stack housing, and so a shaft goes through it, like John Whalen's Siamese motors of of years gone by. Only these are three-phase. And so, yeah, the shaft goes through both of them. Then down below this dual stack, there's another dual stack. Those are connected at the back by a gearbox that's just 1-to-1. And they're straight cut gears, and so that's actually the loudest part of it. It makes a really cool whine, especially when at higher speeds, which you can hear in the video, or if you look up a YouTube video that somebody took of it, it's like, and you hear each little gear change as it just rockets down the track. But yeah, so here's the motor controllers and the little radiator that's cooling them. This is the front battery pack, and it has liquid cooling ports. There's an in and an out. And so when we bring it back to the pits, we can either warm or cool all the batteries with this external chilling unit, but to save weight, we don't have that on the vehicle. What else do we see here? There's big reinforcement going across the strut towers and connecting to the motors and everything. Lots of 2-aught orange cable for the high voltage. The charge port is over here, so we also have the charger off board. There's a 22 kilowatt charger. It's two 11 kilowatt EDN chargers. EDN is an Italian company. Really good, reliable chargers they've been. But so we have that built into the big double-decker race trailer that pulls the car from place to place. And so, and then there's a big, I think it's like a 100 kilowatt generator in the trailer, so it can run the charger at 22 kilowatts full blast. So we can actually charge the car pretty quickly after a run, usually depending on how many runs it's done or stuff, usually 20 to 40 minutes to charge it up. And then, yeah, the negative junction box up there, positive junction boxes for each pair of motor controllers. So the 800 volts is coming up to here, and then the negatives get distributed to all the inverters from there, and the positives get distributed to the inverters from here and go through fuses in the pre-charge circuit. Let's see. Yeah, here you can see our trailer, and the chargers are built in there, the liquid cooled. So the cable for that, people are always surprised because the cable for that is so small, but at 800 volts, I mean 22 kilowatts, it's not really that many amps, like 25 amps. So
that's why they went to 48 Cybertruck.
Yep. The higher the voltage, smaller the wires. So the little charging wire is pretty small. You can see our big fiberglass man hook for emergencies if somebody were getting electrocuted. This is the kind of thing that the service techs who work on EVs have. So it's all fiberglass, and you could grab a person and pull them off of a battery pack. Here you can see that the thermal unit, it's pretty large, and then all the hoses that come out of it and get connected up to thermally adjust the battery pack. This is looking inside the door of the car. The steering wheel has a quick release because it's pretty funny to watch Pat, or like if I move it around or stuff, since I'm so tall, getting in and out of it. The roll cage is pretty ridiculous, and since it is designed for so much weight, I mean, there's bars going everywhere, and so it's pretty difficult to get in and out of. So by having the steering wheel on all quick release, you can get that out of your way at least to get a little bit more leg room. And then the dash is carbon fiber. There's a little screen up there that shows you information about stuff. This is the extra battery pack that we put in where the passenger seat used to be. And yeah, lots of people coming by to look at it. We have a Lightning F-150 electric truck as our support vehicle. And in the back of it, there's a big tank of water and another tank of nitrogen that is under pressure. So it makes it a fire truck, basically. And on the car, there are little flood ports for each battery pack. Let's see. You can see them on the quarter panels. I don't know. I don't have a good picture of them, but there's different spots. Oh, there was another picture of it?
Yeah, the entry part of you and
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, that was way here, yeah. So this special port here, there's a few of those on each battery pack, and then that truck has the same port on it and can connect on that and just flood the battery pack to do what you could to stop thermal runaway from propagating if that were to happen. Now, luckily, we've never had a problem with that. We watch the batteries very closely. That's my job, like always back in the pits. I'm looking at the batteries and charging it and everything. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And the Lightning is a Pro model, so it's the cheapest one, but with the max tow package and the extended range battery pack. So it's pretty cool. And then it was able to handle all the weight of that water, which I forget how many, it's well over 100-gallon tank of water in the back of that. And the nitrogen is there because if you use just compressed air, it would freeze, but nitrogen won't. So that was something I learned. Anyway, it's pretty interesting how that all works. And then, so we towed it up. Normally we drive the car up to the line because it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but we're like, well, this is probably going to be the car's last shot. We want to go as far into the sevens as we can. And so we towed it up to the line just to save even the extra little bit of energy that it would have taken. Let's see.
Which battery chemistry are you using? NMC?
It is one of the cobalt-based ones, and they're lithium polymer cells, but I can't say, unfortunately, a bunch of specifics about the battery pack.
That's as
but
deep
yeah.
in the weeds as I ever go to, so that's fine.
Yeah, there's a few more pictures of it. And then also, of the Cybertruck, yeah, this guy had a Cybertruck down there, so I got to check it out. I have had a Cybertruck on a reservation since super early and got my notification I could order it in December, but I was planning to buy like the 3-motor one at that was supposed to have 500-mile range and be $60,000 or something, and yeah, that didn't happen. So it's going to be over $100,000 if I wanted this new one. And I mean, for that you can get a Rivian that has way more range than the Cybertruck, or a Ford Lightning that has similar range. But I was also curious, like on the Cybertruck, would I even fit in the back? Because I'm pretty tall, and the way that the roof slants down. And the front, even, it's kind of weird, like if you're tall. The A-pillar, I mean, the front windshield has such an extreme rake to it that you could knock your head on the A-pillar getting out in particular. It's kind of odd, you know, most any other vehicle, or like the Rivian, just has a normal cab. And so it goes out a little further before the windshield goes down. And on the Cybertruck, that was annoying. I didn't like that. In the back, if I sat up perfectly straight, my head hit the glass. And so even sitting sort of slouched, like if we went over a bump, my head would smack the glass. So I'm like, well, that isn't going to work. And so I actually wound up getting a Ford Lightning used. And so then I saw this Cybertruck and parked the Lightning next to it because I thought this would be kind of an interesting comparison. And I was surprised that the length of each of them is very similar, actually. So the Cybertruck is pretty darn long, but the frunk on the Cybertruck is much smaller than that of the Lightning. Where'd the front picture go? Yeah, the frunk is really disappointing. The Rivian or the Lightning has a much bigger frunk. This is with the Cybertruck. Oh, something I do like about the Cybertruck is the completely adjustable air suspension. The Lightning doesn't have that. It's just at what it's at and has coil suspension. But with the Cybertruck at maximum height, it was just a little bit shorter than the Lightning. So that's kind of interesting. Like to fit it in your garage or something, the Cybertruck or the Rivian would be easier potentially than the F-150. I am 6'4" barefoot, so like an honest 6'4". And let's see, what else do I like about it? The rear tonneau is really tough. Like it's strong. You can definitely stand on it. It was beefy. I was impressed with that. The sharp edges I have a little bit of concern about. I mean, if you slipped or something, like these corners in particular at the back, you could hurt yourself on them. And then some of the other corners where the panels came together, it looks funny, like you could snag some on, or when you're washing it, which would be interesting. Also, this one was covered with fingerprints already, which is disappointing. Something else I've been excited about the Cybertruck for is the fact that it would be bulletproof and sledgehammer proof and all this stuff. And the stainless steel is like, oh, you never rust. You don't have to worry about it getting dirty or stuff. Wow, yeah, right. Like, I think that's why a lot of people are wrapping them, because the stainless steel is just, it showed fingerprints all over.
Would our guest with the green one on the roof right now, would he be willing to tell us how much a wrap costs? Or maybe do you know how much these wraps cost?
Yeah.
They can be a few $1,000s for sure.
$7,000 for the color. And it's about $6,500 for the cleavage, depending on the manufacturer.
So pretty expensive.
Paint job.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I also have an order. I put the order for the Cybertruck, and then I missed when the Lightning came out, and I always kick myself because I was like, man, I could have gotten a Lightning at $39,000 if you got the very base model one, but the prices went way up from there. But now, man, I think it's a good deal out there to get a used Lightning. Like, you can get a used Lightning $35,000 to $60,000, a really nice one. Now the prices have really horribly depreciated on the Lightnings. It's a good thing you got your Lemon-Law, and we'll be getting the Cybertruck. But yeah, the bed lengths, the Cybertruck, the other thing I liked about it is it has an actual 6-foot bed. I mean, for me, like, a truck is big. Like, I still have my Leaf and a little electric car I can use that's more practical for going around when you don't need a truck. It's like, if I need a truck for something, it's already super big. So who cares if the bed is longer? And since I'm tall, I'd like to be able to sleep in the bed. So unfortunately for me, the Rivian is out because the bed is like 4 feet and it's a little bit too small for me. But the Ford is only 5.5 feet. However, I can lay diagonally in the bed of it. And then the Cybertruck is 6 feet, so I still wouldn't be able to lay flat, but it's a little bit longer. Anyway, I wish somebody would make or have the option for like a 6.5 foot or a full 8-foot bed where you can put stuff in it without having the tailgate down.
I don't know if you've been aware, but the Chevy is going to have a thing you can remove the glass and pull the seat down 10 feet from end to end.
Yes.
They should have named it the Avalanche.
Yep, it is like the Avalanche, and I'm excited about the Chevy. Also has the best range of any of them at 450 miles with a freaking over 200 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's nuts, and so it weighs like what, 9,000 pounds or something too. I saw my first one driving by in Bellevue, and I tried to follow it, but it made it through a light that changed that I couldn't follow. But I haven't been able to see the Silverado EVs at any dealerships hardly. And I got my order placed on that and also on the Dodge Ram EV really early on to see, but you know, who knows when the Dodge one will come out. It's supposed to have 500-mile range, but if Tesla couldn't do it and Rivian and Ford, like how's Dodge going to make it, and GM, like, I don't think it's going to have 500-mile range.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, anyway, I thought the Cybertruck looked cooler in person to me than seeing it in pictures, but I was disappointed that I couldn't fit in the back, and so I'm glad I got the Lightning.
All right. Well, glad to hear you've been busy.
I have one other question. How is the 54 GMC doing? And how did that project in its entirety, from beginning to end, how did it turn out for you personally?
All right, in the end, have to do a few little things. Now that in the wintertime and for the last few months, I was completely focused on the race car. And so we put it in a heated storage area because we got the flatbed put on it. So for those that don't know or weren't at the Greenwood Car Show last year, I had a big electric 54 GMC with a single 85 kilowatt hour Tesla battery pack in it that Charlie has helped with and Ron. And we took that to the Greenwood Car Show and to the Green Transportation Summit Expo last year, and then it got a flatbed. It was going to get 3 battery packs and a big, tall, refrigerated box and stuff, but we changed the use case scenario. It's going to be used by some farms in Woodinville, 21 acres, and another one, or actually a few others in the local area, to transport their electric tractor and some other equipment. So we put a dumping flatbed on it, and then it will use just a single Tesla pack. So there's just a few little details with getting the state of charge to read correctly from the battery pack to the front, and a little leak with the power steering fluid. It needs new wheels and new tires for sure, and I might change the size of the wheels. So there's a few other little things, but it's got the dumping flatbed put on it now, and then it got put away for storage for the winter, and so now I'm going to be back on getting that all finished up, and then they'll be putting it into service this summer. But hope to have that at some other car shows, depending on what they decide with it this year.
That's one of the expo, right?
Yeah, yep, yeah, right. It was also at the EV Expo, and also planning to get it painted when the weather is nicer now as well. Have it repainted, the cab part. The bed looks awesome now. I have them glossy powder coat that, and it looks sharp. I don't have any pictures of it handy, with the bed on it, but I'll have to show it sometime.
All right. Any other questions about anything?
Well, here's three chairs for
Dave, oh.
Yeah, I was wondering how much power it took to get down the track with that 1800.
That's a good question. How much power does it take to get down the track? I do not remember the exact amount, but it was not very much. I was surprised. I mean, it was like, I think it was a right around 2 kilowatt hours. So, I mean, it is not efficient for going a quarter mile. But on the other hand, compared to how fast it is going and everything,
4 times the semi truck.
I thought it might be even worse, so I don't know. Yeah.
It was like four times the semi truck. Really love it. What's the kilowatt hours pack?
Charlie, do you remember? It's over 30.
So it's got enough to do the Texas Mile.
Yeah, yes, I have been thinking about stuff like that too. That could be interesting. Hopefully more will come from. No, we don't. Yeah, that's like I say, we normally, we never tow it to the starting line. We just did because we're like, well, we want it to go as fast as it possibly can. Let's not use any energy even getting up to the starting line, even as little as it is. But yeah, the cool thing about electric vehicles, as you all know, is like I mean, if you just drive it gingerly, that car, I don't know how many watt hours per mile it would get going up to the starting line, but it uses hardly any electricity to do that, so.
All right, well, we need to be out of here in 15. Do we have any, I think we got our new member introduction, and he's up on the roof showing the Cybertruck right now. Any other new members? Any progress on personal pet projects or issues to share?
Oh, the drag racing too at Pacific Raceways, they announced it at last month's meeting, but the electric vehicle class that Ryan was in last year had no vehicle. Anyway, you can bring any stock electric vehicle at all, any stock electric vehicle, and race. And MLE Race Cars is going to put up prize money again, and yet Pat or Jeff, who are really good drivers, if they come in first or second place, they won't take it. So it's almost a guarantee. I mean, they're trying to encourage more people to get out there because there haven't been that many electric cars showing up, and it's pretty fun. So the first race is going to be in May, and I know it was in last month's SEVA meeting minutes, but I just want to remind people again about that.
First drag race at Pacific Raceways, and they still have ample level 2.
Yeah. Also,
charging on
thanks
site.
to me and Grace years ago, getting Tesla to donate 2 charging stations and me getting them to put in like 10 NEMA 1450s. Pacific Raceways, our local drag strip, is really well set up to charge electric vehicles. So you can bring anything out. I mean, I've been racing in previous years with old 2013 Nissan Leaf with 7 battery bars. Now I think it's down to 6. And it is bracket racing, so it doesn't matter how fast your car goes. What matters is how consistent you are. So if I'm in that Leaf and I'm running a 17.5 in the quarter mile and I get pitted up against, say, a Model 3 Performance or a Rivian running like 11 something, I leave the line first because you put in your dial, and so what matters is how. So if I say I'm going to run 17.51, then, and he says he's going to run 11.56, then the starting line, Christmas tree as it comes down, will be staggered such that if we each ran exactly what our dial was, we would cross the finish line at the same time. So it makes the races always very close for the spectators. And it also means it doesn't matter how high or low performance your electric vehicle is, you have an equal chance of winning. What matters is how consistent and close you are to how fast you said it would go.
Bracket
So
racing is fun. I will testify to that if you got the time. I'll add one little first of its kind adventure. Today I got to test drive a pre-production commercial battery electric lawnmower, zero turn by Steel. It's got 5 3-phase motors on it. They're hub motors driving the 2 drive wheels, and then 3 deck motors, 60-inch deck. They promise it's going to have a whole bunch of accessories, just like the ye old GE Electrax. But and it's got 2-inch receiver hitches front and rear. Not elevating though. You have to use a tongue jack, and it should do 8 hours of commercial mowing in a day. So it's the first one that is seriously being considered by City of Tacoma Power. It uses lithium iron phosphate cells. They're completely locked away. The cabling to the motors is very well protected. They've got a disconnect in case you need to ever tow it. You can electrically isolate the motors and push it around all you want in case of failure. It seems well done. I wish them luck. And the operators were very impressed because it can go 18 miles an hour in transport mode, driving from site to site, and it really scoots. And if you've ever driven a ZTR, they can be kind of twitchy side to side. It's not a hydraulic system, it's a pure electric drive. It could get away. They said they already had somebody crash into a vehicle during a demo. Okay, so we've got the Cybertruck up on the roof to go check out. A little bit of time to talk amongst yourselves. We do need to stack and rack the chairs for our hosts. Any other items for the good of the order? Yes, sir, Raleigh.
Has anyone ever converted a lawnmower or riding a lawnmower?
Absolutely, and there's one a mile from my house. They used a Murray, the cheapest riding lawnmower you could get from Sears in the 80s, and just a permanent magnet motor spinning the original shiv to drive the transaxle and the deck. You know, you just pick your voltage for 3,600 RPM and just one contactor control. Simple as it comes. Very, very reliable, and it's been in use for many years.
Speaking of that, has anybody heard anything from or about Chuck Benson recently?
No, our former meeting host.
I bet I was within a half mile of his house, but I couldn't remember where it was. we visited, we just put 140 miles on our boat, went up to La Conner and looked at the tulips, and must have passed his house.
Because I know he'd converted a lawnmower way back when, but yeah, I also haven't seen him at CETA since COVID and haven't heard anything from him.
We need to track our SEVA elders, make sure they're well and that when they're ready, their project vehicles go to good homes and get saved. Any other new projects underway? Yes, sir.
Well, it's not exactly a project, but the ski lodge that I go to and all my ATVs to with my Model X, back and forth, we got our first battery electric snowmobile.
Oh,
And
congrats.
it actually holds up with pretty well against the Skidoo gas. It's 900cc gas snowmobiles.
What brand is it?
It's Taiga. They're out of Montreal.
Maybe you can
And
do a
there's
report
probably
on
about
that one.
8 or 10 of them in Washington, from what I can tell from the Facebook group. So we're pretty excited about it. It's working pretty well.
Does it charge J1772?
Yeah.
All right, this lawnmower does not. It has an off-board DC charger with a proprietary connector that looks like the love child of a Menikeys connector and a Chatamo connector, but of course it is neither. And then they've got electric power takeoffs with yet another proprietary plug that looks like a miniature Chatamo. And that was the one niggle I asked him, why the heck couldn't you just use Anderson's? All right, well, let's wrap it up. Talk amongst ourselves. Thank you for coming. See you in a month. Or at events on Earth Day.
Brooke, is he gonna stay there for a few minutes more?
He ducked out to talk to somebody. I don't have his phone number, but he had said he would.
Shows.
Huh?
Hope he comes to shows.
Yeah.